everyone but yourself. But that would be like a library with just one book on the shelf. So let's draw a bigger circle for you and your family to share. Now you see what all can happen in a circle full of care. It becomes a happier circle as more loved ones come to stay. And wouldn't it be even better if all your friends could come and play? So you stretch and draw your circle even bigger than it's been. And let a few more people know they're welcome to come in. In the circle all around us, everywhere that we all go, there's a difference we can make and a love we can all show. Yet there are still so many outside the circle who are different in all they do. Though it feels slightly uncomfortable, we draw a bigger circle for them too. It doesn't mean the circle is easy. It can get harder the more we share. But wonderful things can happen when love is known and felt everywhere. As time passes, our eyes open. We see others we really care for. And that's when we ask ourselves, well, what's this circle really there for? So let us create bigger circles all around us for the rest of our days. Let our caring ripple out in a million little ways. In the circles all around us, everywhere that we all go, there's a difference we can make and a love we can all show. As our circles grow and grow, and we watch them wander on, remember the first circle started with just the love you hold inside.
Do we have? No, I have. Opening. I'm just going to read what's in here.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. Where's that script I gave you?
Okay. Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kirk Newport, and I'm pleased to be your worship associate this morning. Whether this is the first time you've been with us, or you've been with us for years, both here in person and online, we, the congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Corpus Christi, unequivocally and unconditionally welcome you as your full, authentic self right here at this moment. We intentionally welcome everyone. We welcome every gender expression and sexual orientation. We welcome every race and ethnicity. We welcome you no matter what political party or affiliation you may have, or whatever level of ability or socioeconomic class or education. We especially welcome those who face the hatred, cruelty, and judgment of others simply for being who you are. May you find sanctuary here now. Our gathering together during this time has intention and purpose. This space at this time is holy and sacred. Though we may often fall short of our ideals, we intend to grow as spiritual and moral beings. To that end, we recite a covenant each week, which is not a creed, but a promise we make to one another. Our congregation has also adopted a covenant of positive relations, which is a longer statement of how we as a congregation live into our covenant with each other and outside these walls. We invite everyone to enter into a relationship to form our beloved community together as we learn how to live into our principles. I have just a few short announcements today, no particular order. For our offertory this morning, we are going to be sharing the plate with the UUA's Disaster Relief Fund, which is currently helping UU congregations impacted by Hurricane Helene. Also, the Tacos Not Bombs, the time that we're going to meet has been changed from 9 o'clock in the morning until 11 o'clock. So it's going to be a later start time. And that'll be every fourth Saturday of the month, and this month will be October 26th. If you have not received your pledge drive form, please check with Ren, Roger, or Arlene, and they'll get your pledge form to you. And if you have your pledge form and you would like to turn it in, you could give that to them as well. Just want a huge shout out to the Pumpkin Patch team. We had maybe in the ballpark of 20 people, maybe more. We had the pumpkins pretty much off the truck and onto the pallets in an hour and a half, which is a record. So we did quite well in that. So. Oh, and we're not done. Now that we have the pumpkins, we need to sell them. So you can sign up. There's an online app. You can probably check with Diane after the service, and she can show you how that works and how you can do that. But we're going to try to be selling pumpkins from 10 until 7, 10 in the morning until 7 in the evening. up until Halloween. So we need lots of help. If you can help even a little bit, that would help. Oh, the QR code is in the order of service for the app. Let's see. It is our custom in this church to offer visitors and newcomers a chance to introduce themselves if they feel comfortable doing so. If this is your first time here or just feel ready to say hello after coming for a while, we invite you to stand as you are able, or raise your hand, and tell us your name and where you're from. Do we have any visitors that would like to say hello? That's okay. We welcome you. Also, those of you who are watching us online, I'm glad you're all here. Okay, our service will now begin. I would like to invite Athena to come up and light our chalice.
Like a prism, Unitarian Universalism allows all of the colors of the rainbow to shine. The red of equity, the orange of interdependence, the yellow of justice, the green of generosity, the blue of pluralism, the indigo of transformation, and at its center is the violet, the love light that is a germicide that keeps us all healthy and fit.
I would like everyone to rise in body or spirit for the reading of the affirmation of our covenant. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve human need, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus we covenant with all we hold.
And all we hold sacred.
Is it getting better? say one love, one life, when it's one need in the night. One love, we got to share it. It leaves you, baby, if you don't care for it. Did I disappoint you? Leave a bad taste in your mouth? You act like you never had love, and you wanted me to go without. Well, it's too late tonight to drag the past out into the light. One, but we're not the same. We got to carry each other, carry each other. Have you come here for forgiveness? Have you come to raise the dead? Have you come here to play Jesus to the lepers in your head? Did I ask too much, more than a lot? You gave me nothing, now it's all I've got. We're one, but we're not the same. We hurt each other, then we do it again. You say, love is a temple, love's the higher law. Love is a temple, love's the higher law. You ask me to enter, then you make me crawl. I can't be holding on to what you got, when all you got is one love, one blood, one life. You got to do what you should. One life with each other, sisters, brothers. One life, but we're not the same. We got to carry each other, carry each other.
As part of the leadership in this church, it is my distinct pleasure and great honor to invite new members to join our congregation. It is our responsibility to see that prospective new members meet the requirements set out in our bylaws when they first join. We might think of this as simply go to the class or join a focus group discussion, promise to give some money every month, and sign the book. And while that is true, there's a little bit more to it than that. We are a covenantal faith, meaning that we are defined by our relationships with one another, how we treat one another, as well as how we are as a congregation interact with the world. I would like to invite up the following members: Lorena, Gary Salazar, did I say it correctly? And Cynthia Hannafin. And is Kelly here today? I don't see Kelly. So we have Cynthia and Lorena. Come on up. Over here. We feel blessed to have each one of them become part of our beloved community. I ask the congregation to stand as you are willing and able. If you agree, when I have finished reading this pledge, you will be prompted to say, "We so pledge." So we, the congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Corpus Christi, affectionately abbreviated as U2C3, invite you, Lorena and Cynthia, into our beloved community. As you join us, we once again renew our own commitment to this religious home. We welcome you as once we were welcomed ourselves. We offer you the gift of fellowship. Ours is a free fellowship, and we ask that you become co-creators with us in our mutual journey of discovery and service. We seek your ideas and your vision and your support, not only when you reach out in courage, but also when you need us to reach out to you. In return, we ask that you recognize our humanity. We will not always live up to our ideals. And when we fall short, we invite you to stay in relationship with us and help us become more fully, lost my place. Become more fully into the spirit of love, which is the doctrine of this church. You are now full members of this congregation. As we celebrate in worship, work, and play, we pledge to lift up our voices to search together for meaning and truth and to share the joys and sorrows of our lives with one another. So let the whole congregation respond, we so pledge.
We so pledge.
Okay. I now invite, is it Tess for the story? Tess Cherry for the story for All Angels.
You said it right.
Yay.
I'm Tess Cherry, your RE coordinator, and after our story today, I would like to invite the young and young at heart to join me in RE.
The Circles All Around Us, written by Brad Montague, illustrated by Brad and Christi Montague. The Circles All Around Us, written by Brad Montague, illustrations by Brad and Christi Montague. For all the kids making the world better right where they are. We begin by drawing a circle on the ground along each shoe. A safe little place for just one person, nobody in this circle but you. You could keep that circle closed to everyone but yourself, but that would be like a library with just one book on the shelf. So let's draw a bigger circle for you and your family to share. Now you see what all can happen in a circle full of care. It becomes a happier circle as more loved ones come to stay. And wouldn't it be even better if all your friends could come and play? So you stretch and draw your circle even bigger than it's been. And let a few more people know they're welcome to come in. In the circle all around us, everywhere that we all go, there's a difference we can make and a love we can all show. Yet there are still so many outside the circle who are different in all they do. Though it feels slightly uncomfortable, we draw a bigger circle for them too. It doesn't mean the circle is easy. It can get harder the more we share. But wonderful things can happen when love is known and felt everywhere. As time passes, our eyes open, we see others we really care for, and that's when we ask ourselves, well, what's this circle really there for? So let us create bigger circles all around us for the rest of our days. Let our caring ripple out in a million little ways. In the circles all around us, everywhere that we all go, there's a difference we can make and a love we can all show. As our circles grow and grow, and we watch them wander-eyed, remember the first circle started with just the love you hold inside.
When we sing our children out to RE. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. After our meditation reading and time of silence, and when the music begins, all who would like to are invited to come up to the chalice table and light a candle representing a joy or sorrow you may be holding in your heart today. Please come up one at a time using the middle aisle. If you are with us online today, we welcome you to share your joys and sorrows in the chat feature. We give thanks for this day and for these people and for all the people who have enriched our lives. We give thanks for the gift of life, which, with all of its pain and its joy, its struggles and its triumphs. We give thanks for love, which created us and which revivifies us and links us to others in struggle and in joy. We give thanks for eyes to see and ears to hear, the ability to feel and the imagination to see beyond the obvious. We give thanks for the spirit of creativity that inspires and encourages, that brings novelty in the midst of familiarity and risk in the midst of comfort, that surprises in the midst of the commonplace. We give thanks by giving to others in return for all that we have received. We give thanks in the depths of our souls as we enter this time of silent meditation. I invite those who are interested to come up and light a candle if you care to. Our speaker today, most of you, I'm sure all of you know her, Lauren Cantatore-Causey. She was born in California, was raised as a Unitarian. She served 21 years in the Coast Guard and has served UTC3 as the Director of Religious Education for 10 years, retiring in 2018. She's been a member of UTC3 since 2005 and lives here with her husband, Michael. They have 5 daughters and a plethora of grandchildren and great-grandchildren. So please welcome Lauren.
Good morning. So last year, our congregations heard a lot about Article 2. Anybody remember hearing about Article 2? What is Article 2? July of this year, Christi Stockman talked a little bit about the Article 2 Study Commission, which led to the revision of the UUA bylaws, and that was presented at the General Assembly of 2024 and was passed by over an 80% margin. Today I'm going to go a little more into depth about the reason behind the revision, including some of the history of changes from the inception of the Unitarians and the Universalists. There's a joke that comes to mind. When a UU comes to a fork in the road with a sign pointing to the right saying, "To God," and another sign pointing left that says, "To discussion of God," the UU will always go to the discussion. One of the defining tenets of our faith is that it is considered a living tradition. If you notice, our hymnal says singing the living tradition. What does that mean exactly? We are not a static faith. We are growing, changing. We are becoming better and braver. This means we periodically need to revisit the things that are most important to us to make sure that they are aligned with the now. In fact, this is so important that the UUA's bylaws mandate that Article 2, which expresses the shared covenant, will be reviewed every 15 years. The Reverend Dr. Michael Tino says, "We do not etch our faith in stone precisely because we hold sacred that it must change. It must adapt to new challenges. It must meet new understandings. And it must evolve on new experiences and connections." As a living tradition, we draw from our 6 sources, which include direct experience, words and deeds of prophetic people, wisdom from the world's religions, Jewish and Christian teachings, humanist teachings, and spiritual teachings of earth-centered traditions. So I'm going to share a little history in how we as a faith tradition have changed. Even though the Unitarians and the Universalists didn't consolidate the two associations until 1961, as far back as 1865, at a historic Unitarian convention, a resolution was printed with, quote, looking to union with the Universalist body. So the Universalist Church, the more radical of the two, believe it or not, was founded in 1793, and one of the tenets was that every person would have salvation, rather than the congregational church views of predestination, which means only a small number, the elect, would be saved. And we don't know how those people were chosen. The American Unitarian Association was founded in 1825 when the Unitarians split from the New England Congregational churches that maintained their Calvinist theology, which was Trinitarian in nature. When the associations decided to consolidate in the late 1950s, there were a host of concerns from both groups. Each faction was concerned about losing its identity and wanted to make sure that the new bylaws would reflect understandings and promises acceptable to both. In an anecdote shared by the Reverend Dr. John Cummins, he recalled one Unitarian matron was heard to sniff that the Universalists were nothing but Baptists that could read, and the Universalists, you'll like this one, complained that Unitarians didn't feel that they'd had a good sermon unless they didn't quite understand it themselves. If you're curious about the details in the process that both groups went through, there's an interesting read online. It's very fascinating. If you type in the Unitarian Universalist merger of 1961 to 1975, it was actually a study commission on the results of the merger 15 years before that. One of the things that struck me was the process in which the vote for the merger was taken. 148,000 plus people from both faith traditions voted. I learned a new word, plebiscite. Anybody know what that means? Lee. Everyone gets a vote. Every one of those people voted. When the two faiths became Unitarian Universalist Association, they forged new bylaws to define their shared principles. Both groups, quote, made freedom of belief and conscience central to their religious convictions, according to Warren R. Ross, who is a contributing editor for the UU World. Here are our original 6 principles. The members of the Unitarian Universalist Association, dedicated to the principles of a free faith, unite in seeking to strengthen one another in a free and disciplined search for truth as the foundation of our religious fellowship, to cherish and spread the universal truths taught by the great prophets and teachers of humanity in every age and tradition, immemorially summarized in the Judeo-Christian heritage as love to God and love to man. To affirm, defend, and promote the supreme worth of every human personality, the dignity of man, and the use of the democratic method in human relationships. To implement our vision of one world by striving for a world community founded on ideals of brotherhood, justice, and peace. to serve the needs of member churches and fellowships, to organize new churches and fellowships, and to extend and strengthen liberal religion. And lastly, to encourage cooperation with men of goodwill in every land. So I'm thinking you can see some similar themes here. There are references to a free faith, search for truth, and our commitment to transforming the world into a better place. Also note inherent worth and dignity, and as I'm sure you've noticed, the language using male gender to refer to all of humanity was typical for its time. But by the 1970s, those of you who grew up in the 70s, think about what was happening in our culture then. UU women and many men were becoming unhappy with the sexist language in the original bylaws. At the 1977 General Assembly, the UU Women's Federation presented a resolution asking for Unitarian Universalists to call on all leaders at all levels of the UUA to make every effort to put traditional assumptions and language into perspective and avoid sexist assumptions and language in the future. So that's a big step. The resolution passed unanimously and was part of a growing force of change during that time, including in the UUA, including civil rights movement and rights for the LGBTQ community. We were very, very busy during the 70s. Even though our UUA bylaws require that Article 2, which is our principles and purposes, shall be reviewed at least every 15 years, it took several more years to adopt a new set of principles. If you remember earlier, I mentioned our 6 sources. Those were not added until this revision of the bylaws, but the changes didn't just address gender. They made significant language changes that were relevant to the times. The language of God, man, and brotherhood were removed, but the language of interdependence was added. There were considerable concerns, disagreement, resentment during that revision process. But in the end, we came together to adopt these 7 principles in 1985. Since Kirk Newport listed them in his message last week, they should be pretty easy to remember. I'm going to briefly go over them. The inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, acceptance of one another, and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large, the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all, and respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. In 2009, a revised draft of the bylaws was presented at General Assembly, aligning with our every 15 years revisiting. The 2 main items of contention were a perceived watering down of the 6 sources, language that was changed that did not feel sacred to people of the earth-centered traditions specifically, and a couple of others. This was the biggie, though. A new section which was entitled Inclusion, which pledged to do all we can to replace barriers for persons and groups with particular identities, ages, abilities, and histories. This is 1985. We were supposedly kind of woke. The vote wasn't even to include the proposed revision in the bylaws. It was to agree to study the draft for 1 more year to give congregations time to learn and discuss it before a vote in 2010. At the proposed draft study, the delegates rejected it in a very close vote, 573 to 586.
In 2009 or 1985?
This was in, I'm sorry, you're right, in 1985, and then, you're right, in 2010, this was what we were not agreeing on, by half. Let's fast forward to the General Assembly of 2022. An 8th principle was introduced. Does anybody know the verbiage of the 8th principle? There was tons of controversy about this principle. I'm going to read it for you now. We covenant to affirm and promote journeying towards spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions. Proponents felt that even though we address inclusivity and justice for marginalized people implicitly, that our faith needed more explicit language, renewing our commitment and to include accountability. Opponents felt that the wording was redundant and awkward, and some argued that if accountability was included in this principle, then it should be included in all of the other principles. Why would we need the word accountability in there? And who are we accountable to? Are we accountable to ourselves, to each other? It was a big to-do. Others were frustrated that the drafters of this resolution had no interest in suggested revisions. It was a closed book as far as they were concerned. Many congregations went ahead and adopted this principle in their own congregations, but it was tabled by the Article 2 study group in deference to the proposed UU values that were being introduced that year. So here we are. The new values were adopted at the 2024 General Assembly. The newest official expression and common statement of faith of our UU values include equity, generosity, interdependence, justice, pluralism, and transformation, with love at the center. What can that look like inside and outside of these church walls? Interdependence. I'm not going to read the whole statement. It's up there. I'm going to read the first line of each one. I do want you to notice, though, that in the second line of each of these values, the phrase, "we covenant." This is an action communication. One of the complaints of the old principles was they were great in theory, but they did not provide action. How do we show our values? Interdependent. We honor the interdependent web of all existence. An example of how we do that is we show up at public meetings to speak out against desalinization. We compost right here on our own property. And this is a perception of the old 7th principle, which seemed to only address nature and our environment. But when we talk about our interdependence, we are talking about all of life, all of us. And one of the things that we do here is we do our best to stay in covenant, and we work through issues respectfully. It doesn't always work as well as we hope, but we give it a good try. Okay, equity. We declare that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. How do we do that? We work to make sure that our church building is more accessible by adding gender-inclusive language and facilities. We've added more accessible seating, and we're still working on other accessibility issues. Within our community, we help provide food for our unsheltered neighbors. Transformation. We adapt to the changing world. As we continue our lay-led messages, we strive to explore a wide variety of subjects, many of which give us opportunities for some deep inward reflection about our own biases. Pluralism. We celebrate that we all are sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. Again, in our worship and our religious exploration, we open ourselves to exploring and having thoughtful dialogue about different faith traditions. This is a place where people are supported in following their own faith traditions. Generosity. We cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. Today, we're sharing our collection plate with the disaster fund for Hurricane Helene. We've also donated part of our collection to groups such as the Women's and Men's Health Services. Paying your pledge also counts. Got to keep the lights on. Little plug there for the stewardship team. Justice. We work to be diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where all thrive. And how we show up in our community, we actively participate in and hold events that promote rights for marginalized people. So there is the new graphic for our shared UU values. We can still honor our principles and sources. They don't go away. They're not in our Article 2 bylaws anymore, but they're not just going to disappear. The principles and sources are linear. Our values, as you can see, are circular. And as the Story for All Ages pointed out, we can keep widening the circle and keep including more and more people. To me, the circular vision makes those values more resilient and stronger. As you can see, all of these values are centered on love. And love is intertwined with all of the other values. Love connects us. In closing, I'd like to share this quote by the Reverend Victoria Safford the night before the final pre-vote at the General Assembly for 2024. However we vote, we put love at the center, unflinching, insistent. This free faith we so cherish reveres the past and trusts the dawning future more. We believe in evolution, unfolding always, not unraveling, and revelation is never sealed. Thank you.
Now is the time we participate in the care of our church community by giving and receiving the offering. Again, today we're sharing the plate with the UUA Disaster Relief Fund. If you're contributing your pledge today, be sure to write pledge on your check or cash envelope. When the music begins, the usher will begin to present the offering basket to you, and all you have to do is drop your offering in. No passing is required. In addition to the basket, and for those joining us at home, we have several options for making a Sunday offering. Please use the links on screen to give through our website, by PayPal, or by using the Vanco mobile app. In the tradition of a silly theological jokes, I have one quick one. A man is praying on a beach in California, and God appears to him, and God says, what do you want, my son? And he says, I'm very unhappy with my life, but if you would build me a bridge to Hawaii, I could just drive there whenever I wanted. I could stay, much longer, and I'd just be so much happier. And God says, well, think of all the resources a bridge would take, all that concrete and steel, not to mention, all the damage, you do to the ocean floor and the marine life. And he says, and also I think maybe you're covering, this bridge idea is really a mask for some maybe deeper, more profound issues you may have. So let's talk again next week. So next week goes by, and he's out on the beach again, and God appears to him again. And he says, God, you're right. This bridge thing was not really my problem. It's my love life. Women just, they don't find me attractive. They don't find me interesting. They think I'm a loser. I can't, nothing works out. All my relationships are disasters. Could you help me with my relationship issues? And God says, on that bridge we were discussing, do you think 2 lanes would be sufficient? So we will now collect the offering. Please remain seated after the music is over and closing of our service.
I can see laughter, or I can see tears. I see a choice, love or fear. What do you choose? I can see peace, or I can see war. I can see sunshine, or I can see a storm. What do you choose? Now I choose to live with freedom flying from my heart where the light keeps shining. I choose to feel the whole world crying for the strength that we can rise above. I choose love. I choose love. I can see sharing, or I can see greed. I can see caring, or poverty. What do you choose? I can see gardens, or I can see bombs. I can see life or death coming on strong. What do you choose? Now I choose to live with freedom flying from my heart where the light keeps shining. I choose to feel the whole world crying for the strength that we can rise above. I choose love. I choose love.
And now we take our leave. But before we gather here again, may each of us bring happiness to another's life. May we each be surprised by the gifts that surround us. May each of us be enlivened by constant curiosity, and may we remain together in the spirit till the hour we meet again. Go now in peace.
I see us healing, the darkness dying. I see us dawning as one world united. So what do you choose? Love or fear? Oh, we choose. Now I choose to live with freedom flying from my heart where the light keeps shining. I choose to feel the whole world crying. I choose to feel with one voice rising. I choose to feel us all united in the strength that we can rise above. I choose love. I choose love. I choose love. I choose